The 70s gave us some incredible music, but mixed in with all those classic rock anthems and disco hits were songs that made you stop and wonder what the artists were thinking. Strange lyrics, bizarre sound effects, unexpected subject matter. These weren't just novelty tunes that disappeared overnight. These were actual hits that got radio play, climbed the charts, and somehow burned themselves into our memories forever. Let's count down 15 weirdest songs 1970s kids can't forget. Number 15, Wildfire by Michael Martin Murphey. Released in 1975, Wildfire told the story of a pony and a girl who both disappeared during a blizzard. The song had this haunting quality that felt more like a ghost story than a typical country pop tune. Michael Martin Murphey's delivery was serious and somber, treating this tale of a lost horse like it was the most important story ever told. The song reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, which meant millions of people were listening to this sad story about a pony named Wildfire. Radio stations played it constantly, sometimes multiple times a day. Kids who grew up with dogs and cats suddenly found themselves emotionally invested in the fate of a horse they'd never met. The song had layers of mystery too, with references to dreams, and the girl calling out the pony's name on winter nights. What made it weird wasn't just the subject matter, but how seriously everyone took it. This wasn't played off as a novelty. DJS introduced it like it was a proper hit, and it stayed on the charts for months. The production had this sweeping, epic quality that made a story about a missing pony feel like a major event. Murphy performed it on television shows with complete sincerity, never acknowledging that singing about a ghost horse was unusual. The song sold over 1 million copies and became Murphy's signature tune. It inspired listeners to write letters to radio stations, sharing their own stories about lost pets. Some people claim the song was based on a true story, though Murphy said it came from Wyoming folklore. The mystery around the song's origins only added to its appeal. And somehow, through all the weirdness, it worked. People bought the single, requested it on the radio, and sang along to a song about a ghost horse without questioning why this had become one of the biggest hits of 1975. Number 14. The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia by Vicki Lawrence. Vicki Lawrence was known as Carol Burnett's sidekick on television when she released this murder ballad in 1973. The song told a complex story involving a cheating wife, a best friend, a wrongful execution, and a sister who knew the truth all along. It packed an entire murder mystery into 3.5 minutes, complete with plot twists and courtroom drama. The twist ending revealed that the narrator's brother didn't commit the murder he was hanged for, and the sister actually did it. This was dark material for a pop song, especially coming from someone America knew as a comedian. The song hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, beating out established rock and soul acts. Lawrence went from comedy sketches to singing about vigilante justice, and somehow it worked commercially. What made it strange was how it became a sing-along hit. People at parties would belt out this story about judicial murder and revenge killing, like it was just another fun tune. The melody was catchy enough that you could forget you were singing about someone getting executed for a crime they didn't commit. Lawrence's earnest vocal delivery sold the story, never winking at the camera or acknowledging how bizarre the whole thing was. That's a night that they haunted the innocent man. The song's success led to Lawrence being pigeonholed as a dramatic singer when she was primarily a comic actress. She performed it on variety shows and talk shows, each time having to sell this grim story with a straight face. The song became her signature hit, which created the odd situation of Carol Burnett's funny sidekick being forever associated with a murder ballad. Bobby Russell wrote the song originally for Cher, but when Lawrence recorded it, it became definitive, proving that sometimes the weirdest casting choices create the biggest hits. That's a night that the lights went out in Georgia. Number 13. Afternoon Delight by Starland Vocal Band. When Afternoon Delight hit radio in 1976, a lot of listeners thought it was about having a nice lunch. The cheerful melody and the wholesome sound of the Starland vocal band made it seem innocent enough. Then people started paying attention to the lyrics and realized the song was about daytime romance between consenting adults. The song shot to #1 and won a Grammy for Best New Artist. It became unavoidable that summer, playing at grocery stores and on easy listening stations. Parents hummed along in the car with their kids in the back seat, and nobody really talked about what the song was actually describing. The euphemistic title helped it slide past censors and into mainstream rotation. Looking back, the weird part is how something so obviously suggestive became so squeaky clean in the public consciousness. The band performed it on family television shows. It was played at weddings and community events. The disconnect between the content and the presentation created this strange cultural moment where everyone just agreed to pretend the song was about something else entirely. 12. Timothy by the Buoys. In 1971, Timothy told the story of 3 men trapped in a collapsed mine. When 2 of them emerged, the third man, Timothy, was missing. The implication was unavoidable and disturbing. The song suggested the survivors had resorted to cannibalism to stay alive, though it never stated this outright. Radio stations played it anyway. The song reached number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100, which meant plenty of people heard this tale of desperate survival and possible murder. The Buoys delivered it with a rock energy that didn't match the grim subject matter. The production was upbeat, almost cheerful, while singing about a man who disappeared in a mine shaft under suspicious circumstances. Number 11. Muskrat Love by Captain and Tennille. Captain and Tennille took a song originally recorded by Willis Allen Ramsey and turned it into a number 4 hit in 1976. Muskrat Love told the romantic story of 2 muskrats named Susie and Sam. The song included sound effects mimicking muskrats, with squeaks and chirps woven throughout the production. The lyrics describe the muskrats' courtship in detail, comparing their activities to human romance. Lines about candlelight and feeling all right made it clear this was meant to be taken as a genuine love song, just featuring rodents instead of people. Daryl Dragon's synthesizer work created the muskrat sounds, giving the song an otherworldly quality that straddled the line between sweet and surreal. Critics hated it. Many called it one of the worst songs of the decade, but the public disagreed, pushing it high on the charts and requesting it on radio. The Captain and Tennille performed it on television variety shows, complete with the squeaky sound effects, and audiences ate it up. The song became a wedding reception staple, which meant couples slow danced to a song about amorous rodents. The whole phenomenon defied logic, but that was the 70s. Number 10. The Streak by Ray Stevens. Ray Stevens captured a very specific cultural moment in 1974 with The Streak. Streaking, running naked through public places was having a bizarre moment of popularity. People were streaking at sporting events, on college campuses, and even at award shows. Stevens wrote a novelty song about it, and it shot to number 1. The song was structured as a news report, with a befuddled narrator describing streakers interrupting various events. Sound effects and comedy bits were mixed throughout. A recurring character named Ethel kept missing the streaker, asking, "What's the matter with you?" while the chaos unfolded. The song captured the ridiculousness of the whole fad while also celebrating it. What made it weird was how quickly it dated itself. The streaking phenomenon burned hot and died out fast, but the song remained popular for months, playing long after people stopped streaking. It became a time capsule of a very strange cultural moment, a reminder of when running naked in public was considered more silly than criminal. Stevens performed it on television, though obviously the visual elements were toned down for broadcast. Number 9. Convoy by C.W. McCall. In 1976, America became obsessed with CB radio culture, and Convoy rode that wave all the way to number 1. The song told the story of a massive convoy of trucks defying speed limits and evading police across multiple states. It was delivered almost entirely in CB radio slang, with terms like smoky, bear, and front door that non-truckers had to learn to understand. The song's appeal was baffling to anyone outside the CB radio craze. It was barely music in the traditional sense, more like a story told over a driving beat with sound effects of air horns and engine noise. C.W. McCall wasn't even a real trucker. He was a character created for bread commercials by an advertising executive named Bill Fries, who somehow ended up with a #1 hit. The whole thing felt like an elaborate inside joke that millions of people were in on. The song sparked a movie also called Convoy, starring Chris Christopherson and directed by Sam Peckinpah. This further entrenched trucker culture into mainstream consciousness. People who'd never been in an 18-wheeler bought CB radios for their cars and adopted trucker handles. Suddenly, everyone wanted to be Rubber Duck or Pigpen, talking in code about Smokies and County Mounties. Convoy became the anthem for this movement, a weird collision of working-class culture and middle-class cosplay. The song stayed at #1 for 6 weeks, selling millions of copies. It won a Country Music Association award and became an international hit. The success proved that in the 70s, you didn't need traditional musical talent or even authenticity. You just needed to tap into whatever strange obsession had gripped the country at that moment. Convoy did that perfectly, creating a phenomenon that seemed ridiculous even while it was happening, but somehow felt completely natural at the time. Number 8. Escape, the Pina Colada Song by Rupert Holmes. If you like pina coladas, getting caught. Released in 1979, Escape told the story of a bored man answering a personal ad behind his wife's back. He met the mystery woman only to discover it was his wife, who was also cheating. Instead of being horrified, they were relieved to find they both wanted the same things and decided to stay together. This bizarre story of mutual infidelity somehow became romantic. The song hit #1 and became a yacht rock staple. Rupert Holmes presented a couple who were both actively planning to cheat, had them meet up for that purpose, and then treated it as a happy ending. The moral implications were ignored in favor of the catchy melody and tropical imagery. People requested it at weddings, apparently missing the irony of celebrating love, with a song about a marriage so broken that both parties were seeking affairs. If you like pina coladas, getting caught. The weirdness was in how wholesome it sounded despite the content. Holmes's smooth vocal delivery and the laid-back production made extramarital personal ads seem like no big deal. The song suggested that as long as you're cheating with your own spouse, everything's fine. Radio stations played it without controversy, and it became a feel-good hit about a deeply dysfunctional relationship. If you like pina coladas, getting caught. Number 7. Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. Terry Jacks released Seasons in the Sun in 1974, and it became a massive international hit despite being one of the most depressing songs ever to top the charts. The song was a dying man's farewell to his friend, his father, and his wife. He was saying goodbye because he was about to die, and he wanted everyone to know he'd had a good time while he was alive. The melody was upbeat and singable, which created a jarring disconnect with the lyrics. People hummed along to a song about mortality and regret without really processing what they were singing. The production was bright and cheerful, with acoustic guitars and a bouncy rhythm that suggested celebration rather than mourning. But the hills that we climbed were just seasons out of time. What made it especially weird was its popularity. This wasn't a cult favorite or an album deep cut. It was a #1 hit in multiple countries, selling millions of copies. People bought a record of a man singing goodbye because he's dying, and they played it at parties. The song dominated radio for weeks, meaning people heard this farewell to life over and over while driving to work or shopping for groceries. The whole phenomenon was surreal. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. Number 6. Dead Skunk by Loudon Wainwright III. You got your dead skunk in the middle of the road. Dead skunk. Loudon Wainwright III wrote Dead Skunk after literally seeing a dead skunk in the middle of a road. He turned that observation into a song and released it in 1972. The chorus repeated the image over and over. A dead skunk in the middle of the road. That was it. That was the whole song. Somehow, this became a top 20 hit. Radio programmers decided the listening public needed to hear about Roadkill set to music, and they were right. People requested it. They called in to hear the Dead Skunk song again. Wainwright had written serious folk music before this, but he became known for a novelty tune about a deceased animal. The song's success bothered Wainwright for years. He was trying to be a serious artist, but everyone wanted to hear about the skunk. The weirdness wasn't just the subject matter, but the fact that it overshadowed everything else he did. One silly song about an unfortunate animal became his calling card. Proof that in the 70s, you never knew what would catch on. Number 5. Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas. Carl Douglas recorded Kung Fu Fighting in 1974 as a B-side, something to fill out the single. The A-side was supposed to be the hit. Instead, Kung Fu Fighting became a worldwide phenomenon, hitting number 1 in multiple countries and selling millions of copies. The song capitalized on the Kung Fu movie craze sweeping through American theaters at the time, with Bruce Lee films and martial arts features playing in theaters everywhere. The lyrics described people kung fu fighting, noting they were fast as lightning, and it was a little bit frightening. That was essentially the entire song. It repeated these observations over a funky beat with sound effects mimicking martial arts moves. Douglas delivered it with complete sincerity, treating this novelty concept like serious disco. Producer Bidu Apaya created the distinctive sound in just a few hours during a studio session. What made it weird was how thoroughly it dominated. This wasn't a minor hit or a regional success. It was everywhere, unavoidable, inescapable. People who'd never seen a kung fu movie knew this song. Disco clubs played it alongside legitimate dance classics. School dances featured it right after slow songs and before rock anthems. The song became a cultural touchstone, referenced in movies and television shows for decades after. The success baffled Douglas himself, who thought his career was over when the A-side flopped. Instead, the throwaway B-side became one of the best-selling singles of 1974. It sold over 11 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling singles of all time. The song outlasted the kung fu movie trend by decades, becoming a permanent fixture in pop culture. A throwaway B-side about martial arts became one of the defining songs of the mid-70s, proving that sometimes accidents create the biggest hits. Number 4. Indiana Wants Me by R. Dean Taylor. R. Dean Taylor's 1970 hit Indiana Wants Me told the story of a fugitive running from the law after shooting a man. The narrator was holed up somewhere, knowing the police were closing in, contemplating whether to surrender or keep running. He mentioned his girl, his crime, and his certain fate. The song was essentially a criminal's last thoughts. The production included police sirens wailing throughout, adding urgency and realism to the story. Taylor sang with genuine emotion, like he was really living this desperate situation. The song reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, meaning millions of Americans were listening to a first-person account of life on the run from murder charges. Radio stations played a song from a killer's perspective without much controversy. The hook was catchy, the story was compelling, and the fact that the narrator was a violent criminal didn't seem to matter. People related to his desperation, his fear, his regret. It was weird that a song about murder and fugitive life became a mainstream hit. Weirder still that it was delivered as a pop song rather than a blues or country lament. Number 3. Shannon by Henry Gross. Henry Gross released Shannon in 1976, a song about a beloved Irish setter who drowned. The entire song was a heartfelt tribute to a dead dog, delivered with complete emotional sincerity. Gross sang about memories with Shannon, the pain of loss, and how much the dog meant to him. It wasn't played for laughs or presented as novelty. This was genuine grief over a pet. The song climbed to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. People connected with it, calling in to request the song about the dog. Some listeners cried hearing it. Radio DJs talked about their own pets before playing it. The song sparked conversations about animal loss and how real that grief could be. What made it weird wasn't that someone wrote a song about a dog, but that it became a legitimate pop hit. This wasn't relegated to some niche market. It competed with disco, rock, and soul on top, 40 radio, and held its own. People slow danced to a song about a drowned dog. It played at parties where nobody seemed to notice they were celebrating to a eulogy for an Irish setter. The whole phenomenon was strange, but somehow touching. Number 2, Playground in My Mind by Clint Holmes.
My name is Michael, I got a nickel, I got a nickel.
Clint Holmes had a massive hit in 1973 with Playground in My Mind, a song featuring a child's voice reciting, "My name is Michael, I got a nickel," throughout. The adult narrator sang about childhood memories while this kid's voice popped up repeatedly with the same simple phrase. The contrast between the nostalgic adult perspective and the child's innocent statement created an odd dynamic. The song reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, held off the top spot only by "Tie a Yellow Ribbon." That meant for weeks, one of the most popular songs in America featured a random kid talking about having a nickel. The child's part became the most memorable aspect, something people quoted and repeated long after forgetting the rest of the lyrics.
I'm gonna buy me all kinds of candy, that's what I'm...
What made it weird was how that children's voice was used. It wasn't background. It wasn't subtle. It was front and center, interrupting the song at regular intervals to announce Michael's nickel. Some found it charming, others found it annoying, but everyone remembered it. The song's success proved you could build a hit around the strangest elements as long as the hook was strong enough.
My name is Michael, I got a nickel, I got a nickel.
Number 1, Feelings by Morris Albert. Morris Albert released Feelings in 1975, and it became one of the most divisive songs of the decade. Some people found it deeply moving and romantic. Others found it unbearably schmaltzy and repetitive. The song essentially repeated the word feelings over and over, while Albert sang about emotional pain and heartbreak with dramatic intensity. The song climbed to number 6 in the United States and became a worldwide hit, charting in dozens of countries. It was covered by countless artists across multiple genres, from Frank Sinatra to Ella Fitzgerald. Easy listening stations played it constantly, sometimes multiple times per hour. It became a staple of piano bars and lounge singers everywhere, the go-to song for demonstrating emotional range or mocking excessive sentiment, depending on the performer's intent. The song's dramatic delivery and simple message made it perfect for both sincere romantic moments and ironic mockery. Albert performed it on television with complete earnestness, pouring his heart into every repetition of the title word. The production was lush and orchestral, treating the simple lyrics like profound poetry. Some listeners connected with that sincerity, while others found it laughably overdone. What made Feelings weird was how it became shorthand for excessive sentimentality. Comedians parodied it relentlessly. People groaned when it came on the radio, yet it remained hugely popular. DJs received requests for it daily. Wedding bands played it at receptions. The song sold millions of copies internationally and became one of the most played songs of the era despite, or perhaps because of, the ridicule. It was simultaneously beloved and ridiculed, often by the same people at different times. The song spawned debates about what constituted good music, whether emotion alone was enough to carry a song, and why something so simple could provoke such strong reactions. Music critics dismissed it as treacle, but the public kept buying it. Love it or hate it, nobody who lived through the 70s forgot Feelings, and that strange duality made it the perfect number 1 choice for this list. The 70s were a wild time for music. Artists tried things that never would have gotten past record executives in other decades. Some of these songs became classics, others became punchlines, but all of them stuck around in our memories. They played at school dances, on car radios, at family gatherings. They became part of the soundtrack of growing up in that decade, weird as they were. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, hit that like button and subscribe for more looks back at the music we grew up with. Thanks for watching.